Kyle Richards is finally speaking more openly about what really happened between her and Mauricio Umansky, and her latest comments are giving fans a clearer picture of one of reality TV's most talked about separations. After nearly 3 decades of marriage, the couple shocked viewers when news of their split became public. Since then, speculation has been nonstop, with rumors, headlines, and social media theories trying to explain what went wrong. But according to Kyle, the truth is much more personal and much more complicated than many people assumed. Throughout their years together, Kyle and Mauricio were often viewed as one of the strongest couples in the Real Housewives franchise. They built a family, raised 4 daughters, and supported each other's careers while allowing cameras into their lives. Their relationship survived the pressures of fame, reality television, and a growing real estate empire. That long history made their separation even more surprising for longtime fans. Kyle has explained that there wasn't one dramatic moment that suddenly ended the marriage. Instead, she has described a gradual change that happened over time. She has said they simply grew apart and reached a point where their relationship no longer felt the same. While that may not be the shocking answer some viewers expected, it's a reality many couples can relate to. Relationships can evolve, priorities can shift, and sometimes people change in different directions. One of the biggest misconceptions, according to Kyle, is that there had to be a major scandal behind the breakup. For months, online rumors suggested everything from secret affairs to hidden conflicts. Kyle repeatedly pushed back against many of those claims, asking people not to believe every headline or social media post. She acknowledged that living in the public eye makes privacy almost impossible, but she also emphasized that not every rumor reflects reality. At the same time, Kyle admitted that the emotional distance between her and Mauricio became increasingly difficult to ignore. She has spoken about realizing that something fundamental had changed in their connection. Rather than pretending everything was perfect, she chose to be honest with herself and with viewers. That honesty wasn't easy, especially knowing millions of people would analyze every conversation and every episode. Another topic that fueled endless discussion was Kyle's close friendship with country singer Morgan Wade. Social media quickly turned the friendship into a source of speculation, with many people questioning whether it played a role in Kyle's marriage ending. Kyle consistently denied that rumors surrounding the friendship were the reason for the separation. She expressed frustration that a meaningful friendship became the focus of so much gossip instead of the real issues she was facing in her personal life. Meanwhile, Mauricio has also addressed the separation publicly. He has described the situation as painful while expressing respect and love for Kyle. Even though they decided to separate, both have repeatedly emphasized their commitment to their family. Their daughters have remained a top priority, and both parents have spoken about wanting to navigate this difficult chapter with compassion and mutual respect. For fans of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, watching the relationship unfold on camera has been emotional. Viewers saw moments of affection, disagreements, celebrations, and challenges over many seasons. Because audiences invested so much in their story, many hoped the couple would eventually reconcile. Kyle has acknowledged those hopes, but has also made it clear that healing requires honesty rather than pretending problems don't exist. One of the most revealing parts of Kyle's recent comments is her willingness to admit that she didn't have all the answers immediately. She has shared that this period has involved a great deal of self-reflection. Rather than focusing on blaming Mauricio or anyone else, she has spoken about learning more about herself and discovering what she wants moving forward. That perspective has resonated with many fans who appreciate her openness about personal growth. Mauricio has likewise focused on moving forward while maintaining a positive relationship with Kyle whenever possible. Although the two are no longer presenting themselves as the perfect Hollywood couple, they continue to share important family milestones. Public appearances involving their daughters have shown that despite the challenges, they remain committed to supporting one another as parents. The intense media attention has undoubtedly added another layer of pressure. Every photograph, social media post, or public outing has sparked new headlines. Kyle has admitted that constant speculation can be exhausting, especially when strangers assume they know every detail of her private life. She has encouraged people to remember that reality television only captures part of someone's story and that real life is often far more complex than what appears on screen. Fans have also noticed significant changes in Kyle's lifestyle over the past few years, including her focus on fitness, wellness, and personal development. She has described these changes as part of her own journey rather than evidence of hidden drama. For Kyle, taking better care of herself became an important step during a challenging period in her life. What makes this story so compelling isn't a shocking secret or a dramatic betrayal. Instead, it's the reality that even relationships that appear strong from the outside can face unexpected challenges. Kyle's recent reflections suggest that the end of a marriage isn't always caused by one explosive event. Sometimes it's the result of years of gradual change, difficult conversations, and the realization that two people are no longer growing in the same direction. Whether viewers agree with every decision Kyle and Mauricio have made, many appreciate that both have generally avoided attacking each other publicly. Instead of turning their separation into a public feud, they've often chosen respectful language when discussing one another. That approach has helped keep the focus on their family rather than creating even more controversy. As new episodes and interviews continue, fans will undoubtedly keep looking for updates. But if Kyle's latest comments reveal anything, it's that the real story isn't about sensational rumors. It's about two people who shared decades together, built a family, and ultimately faced a painful transition with honesty, reflection, and respect. While the future remains uncertain, Kyle's willingness to speak openly has given audiences a better understanding of what really happened, at least from her perspective, and reminded everyone that sometimes the most emotional stories are also the most human. As the months passed, it became increasingly clear that Kyle Richards wasn't interested in turning her personal life into a public battle. Instead of responding to every rumor, she carefully chose when to speak and when to stay silent. That decision only made fans more curious, with every interview becoming headline news. People wanted to know whether there was still hope for reconciliation or whether the marriage had reached a point of no return. Kyle eventually explained that separating after spending nearly 30 years together was not something either of them had planned. She described it as an incredibly emotional experience, especially because their lives had been connected in almost every way imaginable. From raising children to building successful careers, they had spent decades making decisions as a team. Adjusting to a different reality was something that couldn't happen overnight. One detail that surprised many viewers was the respect both Kyle and Mauricio continued to show each other despite no longer being together in the same way. Rather than exchanging accusations through the media, they repeatedly acknowledged the important role each had played in the other's life. That approach stood out in an entertainment industry where celebrity breakups often become highly publicized conflicts. Even so, the attention surrounding Mauricio's personal life quickly intensified. Photographs of him spending time with other women generated widespread discussion online. Those images spread across entertainment websites and social media platforms within hours, leading many fans to wonder how Kyle reacted behind the scenes. Kyle later admitted that seeing those reports wasn't easy. While she recognized that their relationship had changed, witnessing those moments publicly still carried emotional weight. She never suggested that those events caused the separation, but she acknowledged that they made an already difficult situation even more complicated. For many people, moving on after a long marriage is challenging enough without having every development analyzed by millions of strangers. Friends close to the family have often described both Kyle and Mauricio as individuals trying to navigate unfamiliar territory. After spending most of their adult lives together, they suddenly found themselves redefining routines that had existed for decades. Family gatherings, holidays, and celebrations required new conversations and careful planning. Those adjustments reflected the reality of separation, even when both people remained committed to maintaining a respectful relationship. Fans also noticed subtle changes in Kyle's outlook. She appeared more focused on discovering who she was outside of her marriage. During interviews, she discussed embracing new experiences and learning to prioritize her own happiness without feeling guilty. Many viewers interpreted this as evidence that she was entering a completely different stage of life. Reality television cameras captured parts of that journey, but Kyle reminded audiences that many important conversations happened away from production. She explained that viewers only see selected moments rather than every discussion or emotion experienced by her family. Because of that, she encouraged people not to assume they knew the complete story based solely on edited episodes. The public's fascination with the couple has remained remarkably strong. Every appearance, podcast interview, or social media update continues to generate thousands of comments. Some fans still hope that Kyle and Mauricio will eventually rebuild their marriage, while others believe both deserve the opportunity to pursue separate paths if that's what brings them peace. Throughout the process, Kyle has consistently emphasized the importance of protecting her daughters from unnecessary negativity. Although their family has lived in the spotlight for years, she has made it clear that certain conversations should remain private. Balancing public curiosity with personal boundaries has become one of the biggest challenges she faces. Mauricio has echoed similar feelings during his own interviews. He has spoken positively about Kyle's role as a mother and acknowledged the life they created together. Even when discussing painful subjects, he has generally avoided criticizing her publicly. That mutual respect has helped reduce some of the tension that often surrounds high-profile separations. Another factor that keeps audiences invested is the history they shared on television. Viewers watch their family grow over multiple seasons, creating an emotional connection that extends far beyond celebrity gossip. Many fans feel as though they witnessed important milestones alongside them, making the separation feel surprisingly personal even for those who have never met the couple. Kyle has also admitted that personal growth sometimes requires difficult decisions. She suggested that staying in a situation simply because it feels familiar isn't always the healthiest choice. While she has never portrayed the decision as easy, she believes honesty ultimately serves everyone better than pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Looking ahead, Kyle appears determined to focus on her future instead of dwelling on the past. Whether through new projects, spending time with family, or continuing her own personal journey, she has signaled that this chapter is about rebuilding rather than looking backward. Although questions about Mauricio will likely continue, she seems increasingly comfortable defining herself independently. For now, the complete future of their relationship remains unknown. What is clear, however, is that both Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky continue to handle an intensely public transition while trying to preserve the respect they've built over decades. Their story serves as a reminder that even after a relationship changes, shared history, family, and mutual appreciation do not simply disappear. As fans continue following every update, one thing remains certain. This chapter of their lives is still unfolding, and audiences will be watching closely to see what comes next. Although the headlines often focus on dramatic moments, Kyle Richards has suggested that the biggest changes happen quietly, long before the public realized anything was different. She has described reaching a stage where she began asking difficult questions about her future, her happiness, and the direction her life was taking. Those conversations, she explained, were deeply personal and couldn't be reduced to a single incident or one defining event. For years, many viewers believed Kyle and Mauricio had discovered the secret to balancing marriage, family, and successful careers. They frequently appeared supportive of one another, celebrating milestones together while managing demanding schedules. Because that image remained consistent for so long, the news of their separation challenged the expectations many fans had built over more than a decade of watching them on television. As more details emerged, Kyle made it clear that relationships are far more complicated than what appears on a reality show. She pointed out that cameras capture selected moments rather than everyday life. The hours of private conversations, disagreements, compromises, and emotional struggles rarely become part of the final broadcast. As a result, viewers naturally fill in the missing pieces with their own assumptions. That gap between reality and public perception became especially noticeable once speculation began spreading across social media. Every photo, every interview, and even simple interactions were examined for hidden meaning. Online discussions often treated ordinary moments as evidence supporting one theory or another. Kyle acknowledged how exhausting it became to see strangers confidently discussing situations they knew very little about. Despite the constant attention, she continued emphasizing that respect remained important. Rather than speaking negatively about Mauricio, she often recognized the years they spent building a life together. She has never denied the significance of their marriage, explaining that almost 3 decades cannot simply be erased because a relationship changes. Those memories, achievements, and family experiences continue to matter regardless of their current circumstances. One topic that generated enormous interest involved the possibility of reconciliation. Fans repeatedly asked whether there was still a chance the couple might reunite. Kyle avoided making absolute statements, instead explaining that life can be unpredictable. However, she also stressed that healing requires honesty, and she wasn't interested in creating false hope simply to satisfy public curiosity. During this period, Kyle appeared increasingly determined to focus on self-discovery. She embraced new hobbies, strengthened personal friendships, and devoted more attention to activities that brought her fulfillment. While outside observers sometimes interpreted every lifestyle change as evidence connected to the separation, Kyle suggested that personal growth should not automatically be viewed through the lens of relationship drama. Her openness about emotional challenges also resonated with many viewers. Instead of presenting herself as someone who had every answer, she admitted that uncertainty became part of her daily life. Major life transitions rarely come with clear instructions, and she acknowledged experiencing moments of doubt alongside moments of confidence. That honesty allowed many fans to connect with her story on a more personal level. Meanwhile, Mauricio continued expanding his professional commitments while adjusting to changes in his private life. Like Kyle, he faced nonstop media attention whenever he appeared in public. Entertainment outlets closely followed his interviews and public appearances, searching for clues about the status of their relationship. Even routine events frequently became headline news simply because of the intense interest surrounding the couple. Another important aspect of Kyle's journey involved learning how to establish healthy boundaries. Having shared so much of her life on television, she realized that not every emotional conversation needed to become public entertainment. While she remained committed to being authentic with viewers, she also recognized the importance of protecting certain moments for herself and her family. Throughout the experience, family continued serving as the strongest connection between Kyle and Mauricio. Their daughters remained at the center of every major decision, with both parents expressing a desire to create stability despite changing circumstances. That shared commitment demonstrated that although marriages may evolve, parenting responsibilities continue long afterward. Many longtime fans have commented that Kyle appears more reflective than ever before. Rather than chasing public approval, she seems focused on living according to her own priorities. Interviews suggest she now places greater value on emotional well-being than on maintaining appearances. That shift has become one of the defining themes of this chapter in her life. The public reaction has been mixed. Some supporters admire Kyle for speaking honestly about difficult emotions instead of pretending everything is perfect. Others continue hoping that time apart could eventually strengthen the relationship. Regardless of differing opinions, nearly everyone agrees that navigating such personal challenges under constant public scrutiny would be incredibly demanding. As reality television continues documenting portions of her life, audiences will likely witness more conversations surrounding her future. However, Kyle has repeatedly reminded viewers that healing isn't measured by television episodes or social media updates. Real emotional progress often happens slowly, away from cameras and headlines. Perhaps the biggest lesson from Kyle's experience is that appearances can never reveal the complete story. A couple may seem happy from the outside while quietly facing challenges no one else can see. Her willingness to acknowledge that reality has encouraged broader conversations about marriage, personal growth, and the importance of recognizing when life begins moving in a different direction. For now, Kyle Richards appears committed to embracing whatever comes next with honesty and resilience. Rather than allowing speculation to define her future, she seems determined to write the next chapter on her own terms. Whether that path eventually includes reconciliation, continued independence, or entirely new opportunities. As public interest continued to grow, one question kept surfacing: what finally convinced Kyle Richards that it was time to move in a different direction? While many expected a dramatic revelation, Kyle's own comments painted a far more thoughtful picture. She has indicated that the decision wasn't based on a single argument or one unforgettable incident. Instead, it came after a long period of reflection in which she realized that ignoring difficult feelings would only make things harder for everyone involved. Looking back, Kyle has acknowledged that maintaining a marriage while living under constant public attention presents unique challenges. Every disagreement can become a headline, and every quiet moment is interpreted as a hidden message. Even ordinary interactions are often dissected online, creating pressure that most couples never have to experience. Although she has never blamed fame alone for the changes in her relationship, she has admitted that being in the spotlight certainly added another layer of complexity. Another issue Kyle has discussed is how people often expect long marriages to remain exactly the same forever. In reality, individuals continue to grow throughout their lives. New priorities emerge, interests evolve, and personal goals shift. Kyle has suggested that recognizing those changes is important, even when the realization is painful. According to her, pretending nothing has changed simply because a relationship has lasted many years isn't always the healthiest approach. Fans also noticed that Kyle became more selective about sharing details of her private life. Earlier in her reality television journey, she often invited cameras into deeply personal family moments. More recently, however, she has spoken about the importance of protecting certain experiences from public consumption. She explained that not every emotional conversation belongs on television, especially when those discussions affect the people she loves most. That decision led to mixed reactions from viewers. Some believed she was withholding important information, while others respected her desire to create healthier boundaries. Kyle responded by reminding audiences that being a reality star doesn't eliminate the right to privacy. She appreciated the support of loyal fans but also believed there should be limits to how much of someone's personal life becomes entertainment. At the same time, Mauricio continued facing intense attention of his own. Every interview, business event, or public appearance generated fresh speculation about his relationship with Kyle. Reporters frequently asked similar questions, hoping for a dramatic update. Although he acknowledged that the situation was difficult, he generally chose careful words, avoiding comments that could create unnecessary conflict. Observers often pointed out that both Kyle and Mauricio appear determined to keep communication respectful despite the changes in their marriage. Rather than criticizing one another through the media, they consistently highlighted their shared history and the importance of family. That approach distinguished their situation from many other high-profile celebrity separations that quickly become public disputes. Kyle has also spoken about discovering strength during an unexpected chapter of her life. Facing uncertainty forced her to evaluate what truly mattered. Instead of defining herself only through marriage or television fame, she began focusing on personal fulfillment, emotional balance, and spending meaningful time with the people closest to her. Those priorities became increasingly evident in her interviews and public appearances. Many fans interpreted these changes as evidence of a broader transformation. Kyle appeared more confident discussing difficult topics and less concerned about meeting public expectations. She openly admitted that she couldn't control what strangers believed about her life. What she could control, however, was how she responded to those opinions. Choosing peace over constant public debate became one of her main goals. The conversation surrounding her separation also sparked broader discussions among viewers about relationships in general. Some people shared their own experiences of growing apart after many years, while others reflected on the importance of honest communication before problems become overwhelming. In that sense, Kyle's story resonated beyond celebrity gossip, encouraging conversations about real-life relationships and personal change. Another interesting aspect of the situation has been the ongoing support Kyle receives from friends and family. Throughout this period, those closest to her have often emphasized her resilience and determination. Having a reliable support system made it easier to navigate one of the most challenging periods of her life while remaining under constant public observation. As new episodes and interviews continue to appear, audiences naturally remain curious about what happens next. Kyle has acknowledged that people want clear answers, but she has also explained that life doesn't always provide neat conclusions. Some questions take time to answer, while others may never have a simple explanation. Accepting uncertainty has become part of her personal journey. She has also encouraged viewers not to compare their own relationships with what they see on television. Every family experiences unique challenges, and no marriage can be fully understood from edited scenes or online headlines. Kyle believes that real relationships involve countless private moments that never become public knowledge, making outside judgments inherently incomplete. Despite everything that has happened, Kyle continues expressing gratitude for the years she shared with Mauricio. She has recognized the life they built together, the memories they created, and the family that remains their greatest accomplishment. Speaking positively about those experiences doesn't erase present difficulties, but it reflects her desire to move forward without bitterness. Whether the future brings unexpected changes or continued independence, Kyle appears committed to approaching each new chapter with honesty. She has shown that personal growth sometimes requires making difficult choices, even when those decisions are misunderstood by others. Rather than allowing public speculation to define her story, she seems determined to let her actions speak louder than the rumors. For fans who have followed Kyle Richards since the early seasons of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, this journey has revealed a different side of someone they thought they already knew. Beyond the glamour, luxury, and television drama is a woman navigating major life changes while trying to protect her family and preserve her peace. Whatever the next chapter holds, one thing is clear. Kyle's story continues to evolve, and audiences will be watching closely to see where her path leads next. Even after months of interviews and countless headlines, one mystery continues to surround Kyle Richards and Mauricio Umansky. Could their story have ended differently? It's a question that fans have debated across social media, podcasts, and television panels, yet the answer remains known only to the two people who lived through the relationship. What Kyle has made clear is that real life rarely follows the dramatic storylines people expect from reality television. For years, Kyle balanced multiple roles at once. She was a television personality, a businesswoman, a mother, and a wife. Managing those responsibilities while living under public scrutiny required constant effort. As time passed, she began speaking more openly about the emotional weight that comes with always feeling expected to appear happy. Behind every public appearance was a private life that continued to evolve, regardless of what viewers saw on screen. One of the most striking changes in Kyle's recent interviews has been her willingness to admit that she no longer feels pressure to convince everyone that everything is perfect. She has suggested that trying to maintain an ideal image can become exhausting. Instead of focusing on appearances, she now seems more interested in living authentically, even when that honesty invites criticism. That shift has changed how many fans view her. Some longtime viewers believe they are seeing a version of Kyle that is more open than ever before. Rather than carefully protecting every detail of her personal life, she has allowed audiences to see moments of uncertainty, sadness, and reflection. Those emotions have made her story feel more relatable, even to people who have never watched The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills regularly. Meanwhile, Mauricio has continued building his professional life while adjusting to major personal changes. His real estate career remains successful, but public attention often focuses less on business achievements and more on questions about his relationship with Kyle. Every interview inevitably circles back to the same subject, demonstrating just how invested the public remains in their story. Kyle has acknowledged that hearing constant speculation can be emotionally draining. There are times when stories spread online before she even has an opportunity to respond. In some cases, she has chosen not to respond at all, believing that every rumor doesn't deserve attention. That decision reflects a broader change in how she handles public opinion compared with earlier years of her television career. Another lesson Kyle appears to have embraced is accepting that not everyone will understand her decisions. Public figures often face pressure to explain every choice they make, especially when those choices involve family relationships. Kyle has indicated that while she appreciates genuine support, she no longer believes she must satisfy every person's curiosity. Friends have described her as someone who has become increasingly focused on emotional well-being rather than public approval. Whether through spending time with loved ones, maintaining healthy routines, or simply stepping away from unnecessary negativity, Kyle seems determined to create a more balanced life. That mindset has become a recurring theme whenever she discusses her future. At the same time, fans continue analyzing old episodes of the show, searching for moments they believe hinted at trouble in the marriage. Scenes that once appeared ordinary are now viewed through an entirely different perspective. However, Kyle has reminded audiences that hindsight often changes how people interpret events. Looking back after a major life change can make small moments seem more significant than they actually felt at the time. The experience has also highlighted the unique challenges of growing older in the public eye. Unlike many couples who navigate relationship struggles privately, Kyle and Mauricio have had millions of people observing different stages of their journey. That level of visibility creates expectations and pressures that few relationships are equipped to handle. Despite everything, Kyle has continued expressing appreciation for the support she has received from viewers who have followed her for years. Many fans have shared personal stories about overcoming difficult life transitions, and she has acknowledged how meaningful those messages can be. Knowing that others relate to her experiences has helped transform a painful chapter into one that also inspires conversation and understanding. Another important point Kyle has emphasized is that healing doesn't happen according to a schedule. Some people expect immediate answers or dramatic turning points, but emotional recovery is often much slower. She has suggested that patience is essential, both with oneself and with the people involved. Rushing complicated emotions rarely produces lasting solutions. As public curiosity continues, Kyle appears increasingly comfortable allowing the future to unfold naturally rather than trying to predict it. She has avoided making sweeping promises about what comes next, recognizing that life often changes in unexpected ways. That perspective reflects someone who has learned to accept uncertainty instead of fearing it. Looking ahead, audiences will almost certainly continue following every new interview, television appearance, and social media update involving Kyle and Mauricio. Their relationship has become one of the most discussed stories connected to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, not because of explosive accusations, but because it demonstrates how even long-lasting partnerships can face difficult turning points. Ultimately, Kyle's recent reflections reveal a woman determined to move forward without allowing resentment to shape her future. She has spoken about gratitude for the years she shared with Mauricio, while also recognizing that personal happiness sometimes requires embracing change. Those two ideas can exist together, even if they appear contradictory.